So I'm going to start today out with a story. So this day, I was on the treadmill, I believe. Actually, maybe I wasn't. I was on the treadmill or I was up in my bedroom just chillaxing. I heard my brother screaming, looking at notes here of it. He told me to come to the scene and my dad was lying on the ground. Okay, so what happened? What happened was he was coming in with groceries from the truck, which was in the garage, I believe, or outside, whatever. Just like a normal day coming home from work. You couldn't expect anything different, right? He came in the door and he tripped on the step or whatever. There's step into the mudroom and then into the living room. So there's two different steps. It's a mess, but he tripped on one of those and fell. And he must have hurt himself pretty bad because then he was on the ground for a while, lying there. His plan was to come home happily with the groceries, just like any old day, right? Come home, eat dinner with the family, do work. He does work online. But today, that day was different. And it makes me kind of have this feeling of, okay, some things are in constant flux. Some things are so uncertain, you don't know what's going to happen. This constant flux, this constant no control, this constant motion that we can't shake. It's out of our control. And sometimes it's scary to not know what can happen next. So, and then in that story, continuing on, he ended up lying in bed for a couple of days, actually the rest of that day. And luckily my grandmother had some backup crutches, which he used. And that was helpful because he was struggling walking even, which is, like, it actually might have hurt his bones, but I don't know. It's kind of tough when you get older, of course. You can have this whole, like, thing. Don't get old, but that's a whole other topic about, that's a false thing. Some people panic with the unpredictability, while others see it as a possibility. That's the point to where it's scary to not know, but you can see it as a possibility. You don't know what's going to happen. That can fuel you, right? You could fall. You could get hurt. You could break a bone. These are just kind of dumb examples, but it just kind of shows you that you never know what's going to happen, so be ready for anything. Again, it goes back to that point. It's scary and it's hard to not know. It's hard to not know and you can't predict what's going to happen next. You just can't. It's not in your hands to figure out. The lesson I take from this story, with my dad falling and ended up being in bed for a couple of days, is that you don't know what's going to happen, but you can find peace in what is. You might assume or think you know what's going to happen, which assuming is a whole other topic coming soon, but you might assume and know what's going to happen, but you actually don't. And right there is where we can find the fruits. Right there is where we can that's the tough part. Right at that point where we don't know what's going to happen, where we can't assume what's going to happen, we can use mindfulness and appreciation of what we do have to our control. And that can be our kind of tactic to kind of get around it. See, we have these, we can win it over. No matter how scary or tough it can be sometimes, appreciating what you have and being mindful and present in the moment and in all the moments can really change things and can change the outcome. You can almost kind of foreshadow things. I don't know if that's how you actually say it. Instead of rushing along through everything like we tend to do in the world nowadays, we can kind of slow down. Like I've said before too, that's a big thing I like to talk about. Slow down, actually get more clarity and more peace of mind, okay? Back up for a second, look at it from a different view, from a different angle, zoom out and realize, yeah, my gosh, I can maybe stop a problem in its tracks. So an example that you can use just on the side is I like to run, and something I could do if I want to not get injured is to stretch or to get more better sleep, which I need to do. That's just an example that is in my own head. And so it's kind of like you can do that, but instead with the kind of reflection and the kind of slowing down of your actions in daily life, you can kind of see the road ahead almost without blinders, without shades on. So yeah, you never know what's going to happen. But that's where the appreciation lies, and that's where you can find the appreciation of what you do have now, right now, because you never know when you'll lose things. And as I said before, if war breaks out, you get sick, or you get bedridden, or need crutches, or a cast, kind of going back to the story with my dad falling. And I kind of had that realization that day. I didn't actually fully kind of write it down until now. I remembered that story, and I'm like, that's a good topic. But I got hit that day, and I'm like, whoa. He didn't know this was going to happen. He went home happily with the groceries. Just gonna have a normal afternoon, and less than normal it was. And that, like I said, it can be scary, but that's where the mindfulness comes in, and that's where the actual being in the present moment occurs and should occur. That's the crazy thing about life. It's uncertain, but maybe that's what makes it more meaningful.